Today I'm going to be finishing some cutting boards. I already did the glue up. I just need to straighten them out, put a juice groove in it, and clean it up, put some feet on it. I have some really cool brass feet I'm going to put on. Here's one that I started with and I totally screwed it up. I won't go into the story how I screwed it up, but I'm going to attempt not to do this anymore. A juice groove is really meant for when you're cutting meats or anything wet. It'll collect that juice or liquid in here. But it was a really nice thought, but I just really screwed it up. So this one is a practice board, but I'll hopefully attempt to not screw the other ones up. But I have two other boards. One that's a fresh glue up and has a bunch of glue on it I need to get rid of, and then trim it, cut it to size, do the juice groove, put the feet on. We're good to go. I'm going to actually start with this one first because this one is planed and I just need to get one good edge, and then we're going to take it to the table saw and cut it to size and then finish it up. Let me put on my handy dandy little camera here on my hat so you can see everything that I see as I do it. Screw ups and all. There we go. And by the way, these are the first cutting boards I've ever made. So right now, flat. I don't know if you can see that or not, but it's completely not flat. So I'm gonna attempt to put a nice straight edge on it. I don't know exactly how I'm gonna do it yet, but let's figure it out. This was my first attempt to trim the cutting board. I tried to clamp it to the table. The clamp kept getting in the way of the circular saw. Just wasn't a good solution. You'll end up seeing how I did it. It's a much, much better way of trimming it, but this was just embarrassing. But I put it in the video anyway, so you guys could laugh at me or tell me how crazy I was for even trying this. I have no idea what I'm doing here. I think I was trying to trim it, and it looks like I did a little bit, but really have no idea. Um, I could have just done all this on the table saw. Now, this is the way that I should have done it in the first place. Just using a jointer worked way better. That's what jointers are for, is to make it straight. So all I needed is one straight edge, and then I'll cut the rest on the table saw. In order not to get snipe or tear out on the end grain cutting board, I'm putting pieces of 2x6 on either end, and that will help alleviate getting snipe at the end of it, and it'll also reduce getting the tear out of that edge grain. So just a little trick, if you want to use your planer, you can. I'm just taking small little passes from my planer. Like I said, this adding those 2x6s allows you to plane it without getting snipe or that tear out on the end. Works great. If you haven't tried this, you should. And then you can just cut it off and trim it. Now I'm just trimming off the excess 2x6, and I'll use a jointer to just clean it up a little bit, going back and forth between my table saw and jointer. I got this juice groove template frame from Woodcraft. It's probably the most useless piece of equipment that I've ever purchased. It's just so hard to set up, and so I don't know. I should have just built one myself, but I thought, oh, Woodcraft has one for sale. Should be easy. Completely wrong. Sorry, Woodcraft, but this is probably the worst thing that I've ever purchased from you guys. All right, I finally got this thing set up. About to add the juice groove to it. It once I had it set up, and by the way, this isn't the way that you're supposed to set it up, but it's the way that I did set it up. So, um, you know, take a look at it, but you're better off just building one. And next time I will just build my own little frame to use that's adjustable. But this, totally not worth it. This is a one-sided cutting board, so I'm going to add a chamfer on the edge of the bottom so it's easier to pick up. And it just, I think it looks pretty cool, but adds a little bit of decoration to it. And I don't know, I like it. I like it better than just being square and boring. Now I'm just sanding with 100 grit all the way to 350 grit, and man, it feels so good. I love the feel of nicely sanded wood. As you're sanding, don't forget to get into those juice grooves because they will be rough unless you sand them, and you don't want to rough. Bacteria will stay in there. Now I'm just marking where the holes should go for the feet. I have these nice little brass feet that I got on Amazon, and I just want to make sure that I get them accurate. I put that tape on the drill bit just to make sure that I don't go too deep and come out the other side. So make sure you do that. All right, here's one of the most important things I think for a cutting board is I'm water popping it. So water popping raises the grain so that the finish or stain that you put on wood, it'll go deeper in there and penetrate it really deep. So for these cutting boards, I want this cutting board sealer to go really deep into the wood, and so it has a longer longevity. Uh, but make sure you do this and then go back over it with whatever your highest grit of sandpaper is. It really helps the finish and it's butter smooth when you're done. It is really, really nice. That I build things to pass down from family member to your kids, your grandkids. So I want this cutting board to be like the nicest cutting board you've ever used in your life. That's my goal. Now you do one more final pass with I'm using is 350 grit sandpaper, but you could use whatever your highest grit is. Really depends. You could go up higher. It's just gonna make it that much smoother. But this is right before I put the finish on. Now I'm putting the finish on. I'm using a white Scotch Brite because it just helps get it in there and buff it out. These came out so smooth. Like I didn't want to give them away, but these are just beautiful boards. And I put two coats of this on to just really get in there, and then I put a beeswax on top. So I put two coats on, let it set overnight and cure. Now I'm putting the feet on. I absolutely love these boards. They're my
This is my
first
first cutting
boards I've
board.
ever made,
Made it in
and I thought
grain,
they turned
have
out
black
really,
walnut.
really great.
Not
I
perfect,
plan on making more and trying to
but
sell
not
them.
too bad.
But I do need to make one for my wife for sure.